Hey everyone, I just got some news that's got me feeling a little bummed. Another one of the Fallout mods that I've been looking forward to, Fallout Nuevo Mexico, recently announced that they were ceasing development. The mod is basically cancelled. And if you've never heard of Fallout Nuevo Mexico, I wouldn't necessarily blame you. I feel like most people only hear about these mod projects on the day they're announced and on the day they're released, or announced to be cancelled. But I've actually been watching a lot of these mods make progress. It's interesting to be part of the community, joining the discords and mailing lists, and getting updates on the new things they've made. It's always great to see a new notification pop up, and I check out what's going on, and they show off this cool new asset or environment. Something that lets you know, yep, this thing is still in development, and we've got some really cool plans and some really fun things coming down the line. But unfortunately, it also means that you're the first to learn about projects being cancelled, as is the case with this mod. When I first heard about Fallout Nuevo Mexico, I thought, Nuevo means new, so it's Fallout New Mexico. Which means it'll take place in Legion territory, since the Legion control the state of New Mexico. But I believe that was wrong. Fallout Nuevo Mexico is a lot like Fallout New Vegas. It's just a new version of Mexico, or rather what has emerged from the ashes of the post-apocalypse. From what I've gathered, it was supposed to be a substantially sized mod, about DLC sized, I would say. Not one of the major overhauls to my knowledge, but just a little adventure you could go on. Take a few hours, go down to Mexico, visit, see what's there, before scooting back to the Mojave. The development team for this mod put out quite a few trailers over the last year, and they were very enticing. There are some really cool locations that I was looking forward to explore. Some fun characters to meet, some interesting quests to do, but now that seems that we'll never have the opportunity. And that's a real shame, but not too surprising. A lot of these mod projects, they're very ambitious, and I would say the majority of projects that are announced never actually reach the finish line, which is why it's nothing short of a miracle when a project actually does, especially the big ones. It's really quite astounding that some of these mods ever reach completion at all. Indeed, this is just the latest in a long line of projects that I was looking forward to that have since been cancelled. And, you know, we've never had a Fallout game or mod set to take place in Mexico. It's a brand new region with new interesting locations, a new culture that could have persisted past the apocalypse, new monsters, new factions. It could have been a lot of fun to explore. But again, these projects take a lot of time, and even if a development team bucks the trend and actually has a plan going forward and a fair amount of experience, circumstances change. Perhaps a team lead leaves, or they just can't find enough people to work on this project for free, which is understandable. A lot of us have bills to pay and obligations to meet. And also, these projects take a long time, not just months, but years. And considering that it's a lot of people's passion project, if that passion starts to wane or fade, then yeah, it can be difficult to keep working on it. This hobby that used to be fun can start to feel more like a job. A grueling, unpaid, and, if the mod is released in a bad state, thankless job. In addition to Fallout Nuevo Mexico being cancelled, there was another mod that was a bit more well-known. Fallout 4 Project Mojave. This was a mod for Fallout 4 that was supposed to recreate the entirety of Fallout New Vegas in Fallout 4's engine. And they made a fair amount of progress. I remember they put out a demo a while back, a couple months back. I remember playing through a bit of that, and it was impressive to see Fallout New Vegas in an updated game engine with better graphics and the Fallout 4 gameplay. But that was always going to be a massive undertaking that would have taken years to develop. Recreating an entire game in a different games engine is quite the task. Just look to something like Skyblivion, which is the Skyrim mod that attempts to recreate Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. That project has been going on for literal years, and the development team has showcased how hard at work they are and all the progress they're making, but it still takes a huge amount of effort to recreate an entire game within the engine of another game. But speaking of recreating games in a different games engine, there was a third mod that I was looking forward to that was announced to be canceled recently, and this one really hurt. It was called Vault 13, which was supposed to remake Fallout 1 in the Fallout 4 engine. So there are quite a few of the older games in the Fallout franchise that development teams, modding teams wanted to bring into Fallout 4, which is the most up-to-date engine that we currently have. And I remember playing an attempt at this back in Fallout New Vegas. There was a Fallout New Vegas mod that was trying to recreate Fallout 1, and that was fun to explore. They did a really good one-to-one recreation of the first couple of areas, but that project was canceled as well. So many of these projects end up getting canceled. But a remade version of Fallout 1 is something I have been hoping for a while. Fallout 1 and Fallout 2 are cornerstones, linchpins of the entire Fallout franchise. So much of the Fallout franchise references these games: the Master's Army, Vault 13, Shady Sands. But it can be difficult for a lot of players, myself included. That started with Fallout 3, when the franchise first entered its third-person or first-person action RPG style of gameplay. It can be difficult to go back to those original two games, the top-down, turn-based, isometric games. I've played both of them, and they play very differently. You have to have a lot more patience, you have to learn about some of these archaic and dated mechanics, and I really just wanted to see both of these games brought into a more modern engine, either New Vegas' engine or Fallout 4. I'm not picky, I just wanted to be able to enjoy them in a more modern gameplay style. So I was looking forward to Vault 13. They announced a demo a couple of months ago, but I wasn't able to get around to it because, unfortunate timing, the demo came out around the same time as Fallout London, and Fallout London has taken up a lot of our time. And I wasn't willing to uninstall Fallout London to install the Vault 13 demo and risk breaking all the mods that we had set up. But I was still looking forward to Vault 13. I still want to play that demo, and I'd still love to play a finished version of the demo, but it seems like that's not something we'll be getting anytime soon. Honestly, I'm a bit surprised that Vault 13 was canceled. I know I just said it's not uncommon for these big mod projects to fall through the cracks and stop developing, but a recreation of Fallout 1 on paper seems like it should be a pretty simple project, because Fallout 1 is not a very big game. Fallout 1 was kind of a bare bones, I almost want to say proof of concept. At least that's how it felt to me. I remember playing through Fallout 1, and it didn't take me that long. And then I played Fallout 2, which is a substantially larger game. It takes a long time to get through it, and when I played through it, I feel like I missed a good portion of the game, and I couldn't be bothered to go back and play through the second time because it was such a big game. But Fallout 1, well, there's only, 13, 14, 15 locations in the entire game, and half of those are just dungeons. So it feels like it's the kind of thing that should easily be modded into a different engine, at least comparative to other massive projects. But even if it was going to be a smaller project, it was still going to be a substantial amount of time and effort. Maybe instead of taking 8 years to develop, it would have only taken 4. And maybe when I say it's easier, in that context, it's easier to understand why it's not easy at all. But Fallout 1 is so simple that I was interested in seeing how a team would port it over into a new engine. Not just because I'd like to see the new graphics and the new gameplay, but also because Fallout 1 is so simple and bare bones. I wanted to see if the development team would expand upon it. For example, the original area, the starting hub area, Shady Sands, that's one of the major hub areas in the game, but there's basically only one quest you can do there, which is to go kill some scorpions. So I would have been interested to see if the team kept it just that simple, or if they would have added more things to do. And it sounded like Vault 13 was going to be a mod that chose the direction of going a bit beyond. I was listening to a 2-hour podcast called the Atomcast, where they were interviewing the lead developer from Vault 13, and here's what he had to say. Fallout 1, early on, has that section where you go down to Vault 15, and unless you're carrying a rope, it is impossible to progress down there. We took some creative liberties. We added ways for players to get down deeper into Vault 15 in ways that weren't present in classic Fallout. So for example, there's a perception check that tells you about a floor panel that you can raise up that takes you down deeper into the vault, or there's a lockpick challenge you can do, or the science check. End quote. And something like this, I feel, is very captivating. It's one thing to port a game into a different engine and try and update it graphically, and to update the combat, but to actually update the RPG elements, to give the player a wider variety of ways to tackle a problem. I would have loved to see a full game in this modern interpretation. And it's not like there's no chance it'll ever happen. After all, the Vault 13 demo is out there, and anyone who wants to pick up the mantle and start working on it has the ability to do so. But again, they may not have the resources, even if they do have the passion. It might be that the Vault 13 demo is all that we get, a peek into what a project like this could have looked like, or could look like in the future. So yeah, those are 3 big Fallout mods that I was looking forward to and was watching the progress of, only to be disappointed to learn that they're no longer in development. And again, it is such a surprise that any mod actually makes it to the finale. The fact that we ever got Fallout New California or Fallout the Frontier in a final playable state, that seems to be the anomaly. That seems to be unusual because these projects, there's a lot going against them. And it's even more miraculous when something like Fallout London sees a release. A massive new game within an existing game's engine, basically a new Fallout to play, and there's no major downside. It actually seems to be a fully finished product with competent writing and fun gameplay. I haven't finished it yet, we're still making our way through it, but so far this seems to be the most impressive Fallout mod that has ever been released. So even though it is disappointing that these other mod projects have been canceled, it's astounding that we got what we got. And there are still plenty of other mods that are in development that I've been keeping an eye on. Even though Fallout 4 Project Mojave was canceled, there is a different plan to bring New Vegas into the engine of Fallout 4 called Fallout 4 New Vegas. And as far as I can tell, that mod is still putting out updates. I'm still getting notifications that there are things being worked on. There's also 2 different mods intending to bring Fallout 2 into a modern engine. The Chosen's Way, which brings it into New Vegas, and Project Arroyo, which brings it into Fallout 4. And I would love to see either of these mods reach completion. Hell, I'd love to see both of these mods reach completion and be able to compare the two and see what the different development teams chose to prioritize and felt like was important to bring over. But again, Fallout 2 is a much bigger game than Fallout 1, so I'm not sure how close those two are to completion either. There's also Fallout Ashfall and a handful of other Fallout mods that I'm keeping an eye on, as well as additional content for Fallout London. So the Fallout London team wasn't content with just putting out the best Fallout mod we've ever gotten, they're also making DLC for the mod. And you know, that can be promising. DLC for a mod? You know, in my experience, Unsafe Harbor, which was basically DLC for Fallout the Frontier, was one of the best quests I've ever enjoyed. So maybe this additional Fallout London content will be enticing as well. So yeah, a mixed bag of news. Some negative news with the projects being canceled, projects that I was looking forward to, but also there are still plenty of mods to look forward to, and I'll be cheering them on and rooting for them and hoping that we get to see the final completed product. I'm just a really big fan of Fallout mods. You know, it's been almost a decade since we had a proper Fallout game. And really, that is a travesty considering how great these games are and how much they mean to us. And it feels like the only way we're going to get new Fallout experiences that we can enjoy of this nature is from the modding community, which is why I've been going back and playing mods from over a decade ago. There are a lot of smaller mods that don't get nearly as much press. You might read about things like Fallout 4 Project Mojave or Vault 13, but there are a lot more smaller projects that just don't get as much press, but can still be a delight to play. And there are hundreds out there. And they are fun, a lot of fun. Depending on what you play Fallout for, if you're here for the RPG experience, there are mods out there that give you consequences for your actions and have branching narrative pathways. If you're playing Fallout for the action, there is no shortage of bounty hunting mods. Whatever you enjoy most from the Fallout games, modders have made companion pieces and additional adventures that you can go on. So even though some of these mods being canceled is a bummer, I'm still hopeful and looking forward to all the mods that will see release and that we will be able to play.